Hey guys, what's going on? Carnage Candy here, and it's that time of the year. Yes, that time of the year where you get all snuggly around the campfire or the Netflix campfire, who knows, whatever you got, and you watch Christmas movies. Speaking of Christmas movies, I am here to rank my top 5 Christmas horror films.
Death scenes are always much more elaborate. More blood, more gore. Carnage, candy.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know that there was a lot of Christmas horror films, but I went to the Googling and literally looked up Christmas horror movies and found out that there is actually a lot of these. So that means I had a lot of watching to do. I'm gonna rank these top 5. These are in order. Before we get into our 5th place, I'm gonna leave an honorable mention here for the movie Violent Night that came out in 2022 starring David Harbour. I know this isn't a horror movie, but it has like horror, like there's gore and stuff. I had to mention this film even if it's not a horror movie because I love it so much. When I saw this movie in theaters, I fell in love with the humor, the action, the actors. David Harbour's good. The mom from Christmas Vacation's in it. She plays Gertrude, some politician who just tries to get all this money, and she's just this rich, self-absorbed woman, and everything kind of revolves around her. I just can't help but to say how much fun I have with this movie. It's a new staple. I watch it more than once every year now because I love it that much. It's like John Wick with better lore, and it's Christmas and Santa's just here to slay your ass. Number 5. All right, this is actually one that I didn't originally watch. When I Googled it, I saw it, and I was like, this looks really interesting, so I threw it on, and apparently it was produced by Neon. Somehow it slipped under my radar, and I never got to see it. It's starring Jaden Mitchell, Alicia Silverstein, and Riley Caro. I'm sorry if I butchered that name, but I tried my best. It's directed by a duo directing team, Veronica Franz and Severin Fiala. I hope I didn't butcher that either. I apologize if I did. When I started watching this movie, I didn't know what to think. I've never seen a trailer for it. I didn't even know this movie existed until recently. I started watching it, and we see Jaden Mitchell and Alicia Silverstein and the daughter right off the bat. And it looks like that we get this emotional story right off the gate. You can tell that there's a recent separation going on. It's tense. Things are tense. Emotions are tense, and you feel the atmosphere in the room. Alicia Silverstone drops off her kids, played by Richard Armitage. I hope I didn't mess that one up. He tells her that it's time to finalize the divorce because he's trying to get married soon. After he gets married, some crazy stuff happens. You think that the entire beginning, you're following this brother and sister through their grief together, and they go on vacation with their father and his new woman, and they're not really about the woman. It starts unraveling there, and the whole time I'm trying to figure out who this movie is focused on. Is it focused on the kids? Because later on the father leaves for a couple days. I don't know why. I don't remember why he leaves, but he leaves, and when he leaves, a big snowstorm happens. They become isolated kind of, and you feel that sense of isolation, but things start going missing, and she starts getting Riley Caro's character starts getting what was her name? Grace, I think her name was Grace. She starts getting in her head a little bit, and you see that she has some psychological thing going on, but you don't really know what it is. But eventually you get some backstory to her and find out that she is actually really traumatized from her past. Some crazy stuff went down, some crazy stuff goes down, and it affects her overall mental health. And the rest of the movie kind of shifts between, is this Grace's mental health unraveling, spiraling out of control, or is, like, you don't know what reality is. You can't really tell. Is this a hallucination? Is this another realm? Is this real life? You don't really know what's going on. By the time you find out, you kind of realize that what it is. And I feel like if it spent a little bit more time on Grace's backstory, I would have liked it a lot more if there were more of the going back and forth between reality and not, because we were kind of rushed into the reality and hallucination back and forth, because I kind of, after a while, I kind of realized, oh, he's going to get back and some shit's going to go. I don't want to spoil what goes down or how this movie ends, because it does kind of end in a twist, but I don't really think it was really a twist because I kind of saw it coming, but I really liked it. I really liked the subject matter. I really liked the tension that the cinematography brings to the table. I just really liked the sense of isolation, and it was Christmassy. There is Christmas. She puts up decorations. This is during Christmas time. This does feel kind of like a movie that takes place during Christmas rather than a Christmas-themed movie. But if Die Hard and Home Alone are Christmas movies, so is this. Number 4. All right, so this one is a little weird, I'm not gonna lie. I never thought I would see the day that I would put a Terrifier movie on a top 5 list. But honestly, I have to put Damien Leone's Terrifier 3 on this top 5 list. Oh man, is this movie crazy? So let me give you a rundown on how I feel about the Terrifier series. When it first came out, I really didn't like it. I saw Terrifier 1, hated it, and stopped watching it and didn't understand the appeal of Art the Clown. And after everyone saying, oh, you should give the second a chance, I eventually finally gave the second a chance, and I actually loved it. I loved the second one, and it's probably my favorite one. Nevertheless, I went and saw Terrifier 3 when it came out in theaters, and even though it was 2.5 hours, I really, really liked this movie, and you can see how Damien Leone is getting better with his filmmaking in general. He just keeps getting better with each movie, even though I still prefer Terrifier 2. But there's a lot to like in this movie, honestly. You get more lore, you get more kills, you get more blood, and you get a little bit more questions, because there's still some questions and questions that we didn't even have previously that just leaves me wondering, what is going to happen with this franchise? I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I love David Howard Thornton's take on art, but who I really, really like in this movie is Lauren Lavera. Her acting is phenomenal, and the amount of trauma that she's endured from the events that happened in the second movie are really heart-touching here, and it's really easy to fall into this lore of this film, and that's all I really wanted for Art the Clown. I wanted some lore. And now that we finally got it, I think I can say I'm on the Terrifier train. This movie's festive, and this movie's awesome. I might not watch this movie every single time, every year, but once in a while, once every year or so, once every other year, or maybe even every year, I'm not sure, I'll put this in and probably have a good time and enjoy myself. Yeah, there are some negatives, like I don't like how long some of the kills go on, like the shower kill, kind of lame, but I do really love the humor here. His dynamic with this guy that he meets that was a Santa, and he meets him at the bar. That whole scene's just hilarious, and it's just really fun to watch. But some of the kills are a little some subject matter is just a little, like, I don't really like gore fests. I like gore, don't get me wrong, but like when it's just like drags and you're like, dude, this scene could have been cut, and it's just to shock you. We can get away from that, but I really, really like what Art the Clown is turning into, and I think I'd probably be okay with one more film, but I don't think I could take like any more after that, because it is getting kind of crazy. I like the amount of lore that's in this one, so go check it out. Art the Clown, Terrifier 3, really festive. Number 3.
It's Christmas.
This next movie is a lovely favorite in my household. It's no other than 2015's Christmas comedic horror film, Krampus. Krampus is directed by Michael Dougherty, the same guy that wrote and directed Trick or Treat. I actually didn't know that when I first watched it. Now that I know that, you can kind of see the similarities in the directing style. This movie's fun. First off, this movie's really, really fun, even though the story isn't like, it's just literally, the story is literally a kid just wishing his family to be better and do better, wishes them to just disappear. And Krampus comes there to grant his wish and picks off his family one by one to teach him a lesson, if you will. The campiness to the movie's really good. The atmosphere of, like, even though it's fun and funny and comedic, the creepiness of Krampus picking people off outside, lurking outside in the snowy shadows of this storm, it's really terrifying. The only thing I don't like about this movie is the ridiculousness of the other monsters that are picking off the family, like in the house. The bears was kind of ridiculous. Like, I know it's supposed to be funny, but I didn't really like it. The one monster was kind of cool. I didn't know what the hell it was, but it was like this, I don't know, this big sluggish type monster was really cool. And the gingerbread men were kind of corny. Like, it was a little humorous, but like, it took me out of it a little bit. If it was just Krampus picking off people somehow, I don't know how they would do it, because this guy's ginormous. Krampus as a monster is literally just ginormous, and I really liked how he looked in this movie. This movie isn't super low budget, it's just like not of high budget. Like a medium budget kind of. Krampus looks great. Everything looks really great. All the practical effects looks great. I just don't like some of the CGI, like the gingerbread man and stuff like that. Other than that, the story is really, really good, even though there's not really much going on except character development and Krampus picking off people. It's just really fun to me. I really like the kid, and I really like the dad. I really like all the actors in this movie, and the kind of the familyness, how their family's not really, nothing's really going right, but they're still trying to, you know, feel positive about Christmas. They're doing their best, and all of them are just not in it this year, and that really pisses Max off. It seems like Max just wants everything to go back to normal and everybody to just be Christmassy and everyone have a good time and care about each other and just be in a better mood. Wishing all that brought Krampus to just make them all, you know, check out, and he had to slay them. A good old Christmas slaying. The folklore's kind of cool too. The whole idea of Krampus being a horror villain is just pretty cool to me, actually, because he looks so crazy. He just looks so good. Like, he's creepy. He's creepy to me. It makes you want to be. Toys don't even make me want to be good for Santa. Honestly, Krampus. Krampus is who I'm scared of.
Nothing bad's gonna happen on Christmas.
Number 2. One second. Oh, yeah. Ooh. All right. So let me talk about the next 2 movies for a second. So these 2 movies are pretty much tied. I love both of these movies quite a lot. And depending on the year, last year 2 was number 1 and 1 was number 2. So depending on the year, these are both kind of number 1, because sometimes I like the first one more, sometimes I like the other one. That's how close they are. Number 2 is definitely going to go to the psychological horror film Better Watch Out. Better Watch Out is a sort of whodunit heist movie that came out in 2016 that was filmed in Australia, directed by Chris Peckover. That is not a meme, that's actually his name. It's starring Olivia DeJonge. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Sorry if I messed it up. I love her acting in it. She's so convincing. She plays this cute, distracted, but very personal babysitter. She really cares about, you could tell she's been taking care of this kid for a long time because of the chemistry between her and his parents. Speaking of his parents, they are played by Virginia Madsen. Shout out to her. And Kronk from Emperor's New Groove. Yeah, man. He's in Just Shoot Me too. I like that guy. He's a cool guy, but his parents are kind of like cool parents a little bit, and he's this like upper middle class kid who has the best friend. So the story is kind of like the beginning story is kind of not your stereotypical, but you know, kind of a perfect image type of situation. But he's growing up. This little kid played by Levi Miller. I think he was Peter Pan before, but he's getting to that age and he has this crazy crush on his babysitter, and he's trying to get her attention because he thinks he's better than these other guys that he messes with. Him and his friend, like this normal power funny dynamic that they have. The kid from The Visit is in this movie. Ed Oxenbound, I think his name is. He is funny. He's even funny in this movie. I really like his character in this movie. He kind of plays the audience's morality, where like, this has gone too far, we should probably get out of here. And I love how his characters are written. I really love how instead of the twist being at the end, we got kind of a middle twist. You realize that things aren't what it seems to be that's going on, and it turns into a whole different film where it kind of turns into from a whodunit into this heist movie. There's no one breaking into the house, so it's kind of done. Like when the marketing said Home Alone meets The Strangers, I got that, but this is way better than The Stranger. Like this does it perfectly. And it shows how things can escalate fast without you even noticing. And the whole time you're just thinking, how is this kid going to get away with it? How is this going to end? That's probably why I like the ending so much, where just something happens that you don't expect and the protagonist also doesn't expect, but then it just ends and you don't see what after that entails. If you've seen the movie, I don't want to spoil it too much, but if you see the movie, you know what I'm talking about, where something is going to happen after this and you don't see it. The movie completely ends, and I like that because it leaves interpretation to the viewer where like, oh, this is probably what's going to go down. It doesn't really show that, and I really like it. I really like that. It lets you use your imagination a little bit when everything else has been like thrown right in front of you. Not only thrown right in front of you, it's bam, crazy thing after crazy thing after crazy thing. And it's some of the dialogue in this movie is really emotional too. Like some of the things that Ed's character says, you're just like, damn, I like this guy a lot. It's sad, man. Oh man, I like that guy. He's great. They did a good job, man. Zach Kahn and Chris Peckover wrote it. Honestly, I just found this randomly. I was just scrolling through Shudder, like, what should I watch? And it was during Christmas time, and I was like, Better Watch Out sounds kind of cool. It's probably gonna be crap. Let's throw it on. And I threw it on. And this is one of my favorite Christmas movies in general, not just Christmas horror movies. I watch this every year, and I really love it. And I think it's a little underrated. If you haven't seen it, check out Better Watch Out. It's streaming on literally everything, I think. Number one, the best, my favorite, my number one Christmas horror film is easily going to have to go to the original 1974's Black Christmas.
Black Christmas, starring Olivia Hussey, Keir Dullea, Margot Kidder, and starring John Saxon as Lieutenant Fuller. If this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight.
Directed by Bob Clark. This is actually a movie that came out before Halloween. Even though we've seen a little bit of the slasher thing, this was one of the first. We've seen Psycho, we've seen Peeping Tom, and then we got Black Christmas. And if it wasn't for Black Christmas, we wouldn't have gotten Halloween. John Carpenter was super influenced by this film. Before this time that I watched it, I watched it for this video. I only watched it once. I'm not gonna lie, I've only seen it once. And the second time I watched it alone with the lights out, and I'm not gonna lie, this movie is actually terrifying. The atmosphere in this movie when Billy is calling these girls and how creepy his voice is and how creepy he's just the lurking that he does. His lurking is probably creepier and more atmospheric than Michael Myers. I said it, I'm not gonna lie. I enjoy this movie a lot. Maybe it's because I've seen Halloween so many times that I've only seen this one a couple times, but this movie is a classic. Let's pretend that there weren't any remakes at all, because wow, this one is really a really good present to cherish. I really want to get this as a physical release because this movie is so good. The tension is there, the atmosphere there, the characters are funny, killer is kind of funny. There's some emotion going on in this subplot where this guy, I guess not serious girlfriend to get an abortion, and they're not seeing eye to eye on that. After that, they start looking for this girl that's in the sorority is missing, and like the whole time they're just trying to look for her, and Billy just keeps picking off people one by one. And the way he does it, it isn't just traditional stabs like your traditional slasher film. There's other kinds of kills here, and I think you don't really see the kills that much, but I think that adds to the mystery of this character and adds to the tension that this movie builds. It's so scary. Like, it's hard to believe that a movie this old can be this scary. I'm really scared of this movie. I'm gonna watch it every year probably, because last year was the first year I watched it. I know, terrible. This year is the second time I watched it, and I'm probably going to watch it again this year because I loved it so much and I can't wait to see it again. I hope you guys enjoyed it because this is probably the best, and I don't think it'll ever be topped. Like, this is a classic and you can't really top the classic, so this will probably stay in my first or second place for the rest of my existence. It's not really surprising because it's in a lot of people's top 5. The influence this movie had on cinema cannot be topped, and I'd probably watch it not during Christmas time because it's just a scary ass slasher film. And guys, that was my top 5 Christmas horror movies. I hope you enjoyed it. What movies do you guys have on your top 5 Christmas horror movies? Do you guys like the mean one? If you guys like this content, like and subscribe, comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what your top 5 is. Honestly, I'd like to hear it. Maybe I'll hear about some new stuff I didn't know once before. Take it easy.